Before I even go live.
Hold on.
Or why they made this right here?
Oh, shit.
Red Grove.
Shorty's looking tight. Who's gonna act right? We ain't here to make a scene. Baby. This Henny got me on a lean. How about it turn into a fiend? And she's not even me. We ain't here to get wild. Get very, very loud. See, she's me so. They up in here to get down to the ground. So straighten up your frown.
Well, can you see how they made it better? They don't have stuff in there.
Turn up in the summer. In the summer. Now turn up in the summer. Can we get drowned? If you can get down, if you can get drowned, I just got laid. Like John Kelly, my body get paid. Me, I'm a
Oh, it's on double standard.
Baby, you need to be mine. You're just so damn fine. I wanna cross that line and make you mine. That's so we getting crazy with the heck. Trying to have a good time. Turn up with the style. Everybody bounce it. Left and right. We gon' want to get down.
I mean, relationships always so much. I mean, I feel like a day and you was going to and you try to stay good before you fall in love. That's the key to it. Yeah. You know what before you know right. That's what I can say. Oh, you right. You like me? Let's go, baby.
All right. Let's see. Welcome, please. Let's see. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Trying to be good vibes.
How y'all doing today? All right. What's up, Chloe? You can't see y'all. Bye. What kind of stuff is that? Well, then you couldn't see us because you was reading what was coming up on Saturday from our guest, Mobile Queen Consulting Agency, which is an agency, pardon my thing, we can all use.
Yes,
we can off this Bluetooth so we won't hear. Okay, that's all that. All right.
All right, we have Mobile Queen in the building.
All right, let me welcome everybody to the Comfort Level Podcast, whether you've been here or you've been here not before. I'm Jenny Schmanny, the hostess, and as you know, we have the best viewers, the best guests, and the best live studio audience. Period. That's right. We're located at WCMD Media at their Academy, 1656 Kane Avenue, Camden, New Jersey, 08103. And our community building platform is promotional and for exposure only. We're bringing brand awareness, health and living, music, comedy, current event topics, and more. So this is our mission statement. We are a community-based promotional platform exposing the voices of the voiceless to bring awareness to brands created by our people for the people. We use our voices to share truth, creativity, and encouragement with our listeners to nurture, heal, and inspire them in hopes and effort to make the world a better and more empathetic place. Here at WCMD Media and Dare Academy, we are becoming part of the spotlight for the County of Camden to build and enhance the quality of life by bringing awareness to our outlets, programs, and self-help topics. And our guests range from independent entrepreneurs, mainstream music artists and creators, city officials and county businesses, not to mention great visual from our surrounding cities and areas that support our city either directly or indirectly. And y'all know we all over social media. I'm not even going to get into that. We're everywhere. All right. That's it.
Everywhere.
We
Yes.
everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the web. Right now, we're broadcasting on 8 platforms. So,
10.
10? 10.
Mine and yours.
10. Okay. I didn't even go on the Instagram, but I have to watch my Facebook.
11 because they
My
don't go
Facebook.
110.
I have to watch my Facebook for the comments.
Don't worry about it. I got
So,
you. Don't worry about it.
okay. So anyway, we've been discussing Black History Month all month, and this is probably the last day we're gonna do it. I mean, because we celebrate Black History in February, but we're not gonna forget about our history because it's all about us. So before we get into anything, we want to introduce our guests today. Today we have
Mogul Queen.
Mogul Queen.
Yes.
Yes, right.
The Mogul Queen.
And we have
Jay. With an E.
Jay.
J-E-Y.
J-E-Y. Got it?
The producer.
All right. She's a producer, and Mogul Queen also has a consulting agency. As you know, when we first came in, you seen the flyer on the screen. Okay. So since we have you here, we might as well get right into it.
Yeah. Well, like you stated, I have a consulting agency, but I'm an international special needs advocate, including trauma care. And I have a nonprofit organization called Rare Jewel Nonprofit Organization in the city of Camden, where we raise awareness for traumatic brain injury children related to near drowning. And where I basically collect and distribute life jackets and give them out to children 5 and under. If your child is on a spectrum, we actually personally deliver it. You don't have to come to one of my events to get one. Well, automatically one of me or one of my team members from the nonprofit will actually come to your door and give it to you free of charge. If you're out of state and you still want a life jacket coming straight from Rare Jewel, we would deliver it. We would send it by mail to you. However we need to get it to you, we'll get it. We're actually launching in Massachusetts. March 13th is National Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Day. And like 2 years ago, I launched on Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Day with my traumatic brain injury nonprofit. So this year, for our second year, we got invited to Massachusetts, which will be falling on March 12th, not the 13th, but we will still be out there celebrating our second anniversary to the nonprofit organization.
Right.
We got invited. The lady out there, she basically gave me the hall for 4 hours for free. They're going to be cooking, and they just want me to come out there and just bring the awareness and tell them about the awareness and about the consultant agency and my missions and my vision for both of them. So I've just been on a go for 2 years now, and I've been educating myself. I've been learning about my own self because as y'all know, I'm a walking spokesman person for PTSD. So not only am I getting this education and providing the resources, I'm actually, learning more about myself and how to basically adjust my altered brain injury. So I always tell people that the impact, it's more for, it was neurological, but of course the emotional response always will be the first thing you'll see, but you'll never know what's going on with me neurologically inside my brain. So because of that, and going to behavior analysis, I decided that what can I do for these children that may be suffering like me, that I'm just learning this now at the age of an adult, that I can help save them from a long life of trauma if I can adjust their mental state right now. So I started the consultant agency. So MQ Consultant Agency was birthed out of me just learning about myself and learning about my trauma. And now I'm on a mission that we go into the school system. I took it into the school setting because if you don't adjust a child in a school setting, then they'll be pipelined to prison. So I just went on ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to stop the trauma from right there while they're in school at a young age. Let me get on while they're young so they won't have the long life long effects. Mm-hmm. And they won't have to adjust or worry about it like an adult as me. They can go ahead and say, you know what, I am a person that had trauma, but I'm now aware of the traumas, and now I can go ahead and grow healthy, that I know that this is what it took for me to move forward. And I'm glad that the educational setting was adjusted for me to be able to flourish and blossom. And now here I am as a healthy adult, that I can say I remember when I had trauma, and I remember that I was struggling in school, but I wasn't no more because somebody from a consultant agency stepped in and adjusted my criteria for me to keep on going to school, and I didn't drop out and was pipelined to prison.
So is that some of the things that you do for people in your consulting agency?
Yeah, so I do. What I do is I have a consent form online on my website, mqconsultant.info, and you can read more about what I exactly do. But I basically come take the parents' concern. What I just ask them is, has your child been showing, behaviors in school? Do they talk about dropping out? What makes them not want to go to school? Because it's something that will make a child not want to go to school. Right. It's more so not the work, and more so be the environment. Because a person that has trauma don't want to be in environments. They don't want to be, confronted with any more trauma. Right. So once they tell me that, I say, okay, have they had an IP or a 504 plan in place, or both? If they say no, then I'm like, okay, well, fill out my questionnaire. I basically create a legal documentation under a state law, no, a federal law, I'm sorry. It's a federal mandated law through the Special Needs Handicap Education Act, and for mental impairment or physical disabilities. Mm-hmm. So I create the legal documentation. I send it on behalf to the school of the consultant agency, and the school is to basically contact the child study team, where the child study team is made up of a child psychologist, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, a teacher, everybody that's supposed to be advocating for this child should have been advocating for this one child in the first place. So they all so they all have to sit down now and actually evaluate the child. Once they evaluate the child and they see that this child has mental impairment needs, they adjust the criteria. That might be just that the child might suffer from insomnia before they even, they may not ever went to sleep before coming here, and that might be disturbing their thoughts and giving them the mental impairment. So if that's the case, and they might be coming there late, so when you get there late, you already know when you arrive somewhere late, you already off. Especially if you have a mental impairment, now you double off. So now everything is annoying you, but you strive to got there first in the first place, but they don't understand what happened before you got there. Right. They just want you to act as you are a student when you get to the place of education. So now, if you have a 504 plan in place, they have some stipulations they could put in there and say, okay, well, now the child can arrive at 10 o'clock and it won't be considered late. Right. Okay. Well, this child has every class has to take a 15-minute breather walking around, go to the nurse's station, go to the principal's office, or go into a quiet room. So all those criteria could be put in for the child to actually adjust them while they're trying to get the education. Now, it's been improvements with the child now taking a little 5-minute breather, walking around, just basically escalating themselves. Some kids, I had to basically consult with the parent, like, I think that you need to remove the child into a homeschool setting while you get the child trauma-informed therapy, see grievance counselors, see a psychiatrist. Let them get evaluated by all of them before you bring them back in, because they may need to be adjusted before they come even back into that environment.
So you don't treat.
I don't treat and I don't diagnose. I refer. Right. So now if the school does not apply the 504 plan or the IEP, or they're not doing what they're supposed to do, now I go fire up. Yeah, so now I go fire up to the grievance letter. I put in a grievance against the school, because there's always school laws, and the school law states that every child should be in school between a certain amount of hours, and education is free for all students under a federal funding. So if your child fails to get the education, then you got to put in the grievance letter. Once you put in the grievance letter stating all the reasons why you feel like your child is not exceeding in the educational system, now you move forward for state district complaint. I'm doing all this behind the scenes for the parent. So now I'm moving and I do a state district complaint. When I do that, they are in place for a civil lawsuit.
So these are actually legal issues,
Federal laws.
federal
So they
laws
become federal.
that are being
These
broke
issues.
when these parents
Yes.
are asking for help for these kids and they don't understand what's going on and they're not getting into the right programs. Because, like, I know that, like you said, the child came in late and he in some type of mood or whatever. You don't know what happened before he got there. May not even be nothing wrong. It might be that he had to sleep in the bed with 6 brothers. You know what I mean? We got one bed in the house. We all in there. We got a one room house or something.
Yeah.
You know, that might be the case. You know what I mean? And he might not have nothing, even though it might be, I don't know, maybe he might
One bedroom
identify
house, no food. A lot could be played.
identify a little bit on environmental trauma, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But that might be just the case. He might just need somebody to purchase him his own bed,
Right, yeah.
and he could be good.
His comfort is
You
being
know what I mean?
compromised, right?
Yeah, honestly, like what you saying, cause like I actually worked in school, so like I was a one-on-one.
Mhm.
I was a one-on-one, and I also worked with special needs students. I worked a lot in autism support.
Mm.
You in Philly would do some damage, cause like no, for real, like that.
And
What you
yeah,
saying is real, and it's like
all
especially in
need.
Philly, cause the Philly school system is terrible.
Mhm.
And I learned that when I started working in the county, and I saw the difference between what I had when I was in school and what they had. Like Philly is terrible, and it's like hearing like that you actually like you know how to take the steps. You know the steps to take. Like you real important. You serious? No, for real. You're really important to the game. It's like it's a lot of kids with them things. And it's like I've seen it myself, and it's like they don't know what to do, so they just call somebody in, like keep them in check.
Right.
Instead of trying to actually take the steps to see, okay, how can we actually improve things for them?
Right.
They just want somebody to sit there, make sure they don't harass the rest of the class while they're teaching.
Right.
No, look into the situation.
Mhm.
Right.
To work with the parents, like
Mhm.
Understand the mindset, right?
yes.
So
yes.
since it's federal funding for special needs education, under the federal funding, they are supposed to provide that child with any services that they fall under a mental impairment, mental disability, or physical disability. If they fall under a mental disability, if they have chronic or complex mental impairment, they are to do a safety plan for the child and for the school. Because come on, how many situations have we come across where children actually had enough, even with the school system? This don't even got to do with bullying, and say, you know, I'm just gonna take everybody out because everybody is happy in this place but me.
Yeah.
When it's a federal funding that could cover that child.
But
There's money for them.
how do you point that out as a teacher? How do you point these things out and get the parents on board, or get the principal, whoever else in the school on board? How do you recognize these things with these specific kids
Okay, that's
to
good.
help them out before it escalates?
Well, that's the whole thing. A lot of the teachers and everybody is supposed to be advocating. Everybody that's in the school system is supposed to be advocates. The same way us as nurses were mandates, their mandates.
Yeah.
But I feel like the mandates need to be adjusted, but I'll get to that later on.
Yeah.
More so the teachers is supposed to pull that child and say, okay, this child is exhibiting behaviors.
Right, unhealthy
Like,
behaviors.
They're not gonna if this one child is 100 kids in the school, and this one child is acting so out of control,
Chloe agrees with you. Chloe Banks.
and then like it's generational trauma. The mom might come in and she might be acting just like the child. I don't blame none of them.
Mm-hmm.
I blame long-lasting effects of trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She might have not got help either. She probably dropped out. Dad probably dropped out too. They like, oh well, they made it without any education. They might be just working odd jobs, but they making it. So then the child, they like, well, what hope do we got for the child? They feel like that's like a generational thing anyway. Like, oh well, we all dropped out, but no, y'all the system failed to educate y'all.
Right.
That's all that happened on a mental impairment level.
Curses can be broken.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that's why I came in and I don't work with the school. I want to basically put it internationally like I am, because this is a federal thing. So I can do this anywhere, any place outside of New Jersey.
Yeah.
This is a federal law under the Special Needs Handicapped Children's Act. So if somebody over in Massachusetts, when I get there, says the same thing, like you said in Philadelphia, okay, it's one shot up. It's the same. I'm not taking no different steps, but the same step. Because the law said that these are the steps that I got to take. The law said these is not the steps I got to take, but these are the steps I know to take. And everybody is not educated. And then if you are educated, everybody specializes in something. I specialized in being a nurse. I didn't even specialize in this. This was me just basically, like I said, finding my healing in my own PTSD and finding my own who would have been me, who would have been to help me. Nobody did. I remember when I dropped out of high school, I got expelled, thrown out. Like, the expel came in the letter. Like, you ain't, like, escorted by police. I was basically very manic, like, running around rampant. I'm talking about I was out of control. My mom didn't know what to do with me. Took me to a therapist. All he did was just put me on a medication. Oh, she out of control? Let's calm her.
Right.
Let's sedate her.
Sedate you.
But, that didn't do nothing for me.
Yeah, it didn't help. Just made it so that they didn't have to deal with you.
Right.
Well, yes. So now they just basically just shocked. Like, I'm shell shocked, and they just took the shell part out and shocked me.
Yeah.
So because before PTSD, it was called shell shock.
Oh, bro.
So I'm shell shocked, but now they just took the shell, they shocked the shell for sure, and just like left me like that. And but then my mom didn't like me like that either, because my mom was dependent on me. Because I knew, I was already doing shows. The crazy thing is, I was getting expelled from school, leaving there and going and performing in New York, winning pageants, and people knew me as mogul down in New York. But in Camden, I was a wreck.
She was a sweet, beautiful
Yeah.
mogul.
Yeah.
Wayne in there. In Camden, she was like,
You
So-
use yourself here.
So it's almost like I caught like a personality disorder
Yeah.
when I was younger, before everything. Because and you do get that, because you want to come out of your trauma that you will create somebody else. That's how I created Mogul Queen. Like, people be like, I don't know how you could do it. I snap out of Jernica and I snap into Mogul Queen, and I tell people that all the time. When I'm mogul, you're going to get nothing but all educational information out of me. I'm going to not stop until I get you the help that you need. Jernica don't know nothing. She like, hell, I want to go home. I want to go to sleep. I want to be in my trauma.
Sound like baby mama.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's just one of those situations that I just thank God that He kept me covered and He gave me a platform that the district doesn't like that I do it, but either we're going to correct the educational system or we're going to shrink the budget when I'm done. Because
Well,
all the
I-
children
I
are going to
think
be
doing that because,
compensated
you know,
for their lack of education.
I think that would help the future greatly if we could correct the mental traumas and
Right.
things that we have going on within ourselves. When you fix one person, I mean, you may not totally fix them, but when you find out the problem and you address it and showing that somebody cares, attitudes change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Showing
Look at
that
us
somebody
now.
cares.
Yeah.
Look,
Safer
look-
environment.
Look at now. Putin done went
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
We're at war.
Yeah.
We're at war now. Like, what are we fighting over? Textiles and products and shipping and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Resources that we need to survive.
Mhm.
Now we got to cut them off.
Right.
Our president came and he said, cut everything off.
Mhm.
Yeah, you started it. You
Mhm.
said you wouldn't. You started it. We cut you off. That's what he said. And we prepared to retaliate.
Mhm.
Come
Try
effing
it.
with us.
Try it if
Come
you want.
effing with us.
Simple
Try
as
it
that.
if you want. Come
Try
on.
it if you want.
Quick question.
Catch me outside. That's what he said.
Damn,
How about
That's
that?
how about that. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
right there.
Basically, in our language.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what the kids say. The trauma kids, catch me outside. How about that?
what I was wondering was, just real quick, how difficult was it to discover your PTSD and then to come
I
out
will
of
say
it?
that. Yeah.
Like,
I
how
was
difficult was it? Because it's going to be kids that's going to want to know,
Wait a couple
is it
years.
easy to come out of PTSD or is it difficult to come out of this and learn yourself and learn the knowledge and the tools that you need to understand what you're going through and what you went through to get to your new beginning? How difficult was it?
Very difficult. Very difficult because I went right after I lost my mom. And my mom will be now passed away in July. It'll be 2 years.
But
So
you can never get over that.
That's a big
Right.
word. That's always a big
But-
word.
if you can't get over it, you gotta embrace it. So that's
Right.
something else that I learned. But it was more so me and my mom. She was my trigger. Somebody that has PTSD always has somebody to trigger them, or maybe multiple triggers. But my mom, whatever she said, it just vibrated through my heart and came to my mind and just made me like, I need to get away from this lady. But at the same time, I loved her so much that no matter how mad I was inside, don't ask me what I was mad about. I would do whatever she wanted me to do, but it was just a rage. So when I found out I had
You
PTSD,
know how hard that has to be to say
No, for
something
real.
like that.
No, that
It
mhm,
has
honestly
to be
is.
hard.
yeah.
Mhm.
To be honest about, because parents do give you trauma.
right.
Like they there.
Yeah,
the
but you
whole
don't
time.
say it. I mean, I didn't have the heart. I don't have the heart to say
No,
it.
but that's the thing right there
that's
though.
how
Not
she
having the heart to
worked
say
on
this. You
herself.
gotta say this.
Yes,
Yeah,
girl.
you gotta be able
Well,
to
it was
say
more so like, okay, just like, reprimanding trauma, if you want to call that reprimanding trauma, yes, you can, because like you flinch when you about to get
Yeah.
slapped.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a condition, like you about to slap, but more so mine was like trauma because like, how did you leave a gun on an iron board for me to get shot? How you kept on leaving us with our cousin and he ended up molesting my sister? Like,
Right.
how you go ahead and you get on heavier drugs to numb your pain and then like you send us to Puerto Rico and then I went through all of the crises I went through. Like, how did you allow me to go through a long life and effective trauma? But at that point, I didn't even know I had PTSD, so I was just hurt. So to find out that I had PTSD when I found out, and that it was not my mom's fault, it was just what life brought me. I couldn't even apologize to her because of course it was over.
Right.
She was gone. Lymphoma brain cancer took her out. So it was like, dang, I can't even go and try to repair anything. So the best advice that, the therapist told me was like, okay, well, you can't repair that, but you can repair yourself. So I took on a challenge because now I'm like, man, anything to stop some of this stuff that's going on with me. And I just took off and it was hard because now I have to relive a lot of the stuff that I blocked out, which people do because we go into flight or fight mode. I blocked out a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff I had to live with. So like I was saying before, I was getting like night tremors. Like it was almost like my mind turned into a drug. I mean, they offered me medication, but I'm like, nah, I wanna go through this phase first. Like I want to dive into it because like I want to heal. Like I was desperate to heal. And I did, and and it was so hard. And what I learned the most is what's my triggers? What made me angry? So now I curved that. Like you're not gonna get a second chance because you don't know that the first one I curved you now. The first one before I wouldn't have curved you, it would have been like, let's go outside. You know how many fights I had with men? Not even my own men. Men, period. Because I was in attack mode. So it was just crazy that I learned all my triggers and I learned to embrace what I loved about myself.
And uplifting the blame also
Right.
to others.
Right. So that was the whole thing. It was nobody else to blame but my mom.
Right.
But I can't, like, it wasn't even, not even her fault.
Right, because what she went through also.
So it was a generational thing because that's why she was doing so much drugs, which is called abnormal use.
Right.
She was going through so many abnormal uses because she was trying to numb her own trauma.
Right.
So, and then the traumas that we brought her on as her children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like
She herself
she
had
had a lot
Yeah.
to
She had
carry.
a lot to carry.
Yeah.
So it's like, dang, like, and my mom was like the most lovable woman. I'm talking about she hid her PTSD under a lot of love. How did I even think about that when this lady, like, she could bring you in and make you feel like family in the first hour she was there? You was there. Like, her presence brought you to her. She didn't even have to say anything. I hated that. I'm like, don't like her. They used to be like, yo, your mom's so cool. I thought you said you ain't like your mom and did it. And I'm like, man, she got another one. Like, you ain't see it? Like, you ain't see it? Like, and then, like, people would stay the night. Like, my mom used to have, like, 20 kids over her house. Everybody loved my mom. I'm talking about, like, kids stepping over kids, my cousins, and everybody loved to be at my mom's house.
Yeah.
And she released her pain through music. She would play music day and night. She had big subwoofer speakers. I'm talking about amplifiers. She had she wanted you to hear it 6-7 blocks down. She wanted you to hear her pain, but I didn't ever notice that.
Yeah.
6 blocks down, she would go from club music to slow jams at night. I'm talking about quiet storm in the middle of the night. Like, the whole block was conditioned to already listen to these songs because they already knew that Millie Love.
They had her emotions.
Honestly, it's interesting that you just saying that was kind of interesting to me because I know me myself. Like, I know I have my little baggage and my little stuff with me, and I don't like silence. I don't like silence.
Right.
It's like thoughts just start going.
Anxiety.
They start
They
going
go
real
into
bad.
panic attack.
I don't either. I leave the TV on all night.
Me too.
Yeah.
I need something.
I can't be in silence.
Yeah, I don't like silence, but honestly, I feel like that's it. That you said that, I think that's interesting. Like, honestly, like, if you don't like silence, maybe you should ask yourself about that. Why don't you like? Why do you always want something just going on like that? You know what I mean? Like,
So what about you? Why you need silence? Your thoughts too loud or something?
no, literally. Like, honestly, like at night, I need something on because, like, I just started thinking. It's like, yo, even in the shower today, like, I'm a brooder, so like, I'll think about something and like it'll bring up something else and bring up something else, and it's just like, yeah, silence is not.
So you think you discovered PTSD or your components of PTSD here listening to this conversation now?
I think it's.
Yeah.
I think that just like hearing the talk is like comparing it, like you saying that, like, damn, because I don't like silence neither, and I feel like that's what you just said. Your mom didn't like silence, and it's like that's real shit. But like, why don't you like the silence? It's like, okay, she was hiding a lot. She was avoiding a lot, and it's like, damn, I'm avoiding a lot too. Like,
You be scared of my own thoughts?
for real. Like, honestly, me, I'm like that because like I'm an Aries. You know, it's a lot of fire in my life.
Yes, it is.
I'm an angry person sometimes. It's like, honestly, shit, I need to ask myself, why am I so angry? Like, why is it always so much like hostility with me? Like, why is it so easy for somebody to like me to sit there and just brood about something? Because like, you know, like I need to evaluate myself, to be honest.
How
Like,
could somebody find that out about themselves?
More so like
By
behavior,
talking
like
out and stuff,
you
she's
can,
finding
well,
stuff
and
out
then you
now.
know what?
Like,
That's why I decided to go and take up some courses on behavior analytics because people like you gonna be asking me questions. Like, you know, the more I educate myself and the more I go on these platforms and the more education I bring, the more people start asking me, almost like if I am the psychologist myself.
Yeah, 'cause like
Listen, I only took psychologists
psychologists
1 and 2. That's it.
You a survivor though, and that's the thing.
Right.
Though, you've been through
So
it.
so that's why every time I do this for a client through my consultant agency, they look at me like they want to ask me. So I just start going in and telling them my story. What happened? What made me want to start the consultant agency? And they be like, huh? How do you find the strength to do this for us? Like, can we hug you? Can we do this for you? And I'm like, you know, my PTSD, I'm kind of standoffish because I got shot before. So I'm like, always was wondering if somebody's going to harm me. So I can perform in major convention center, but that's because I was on the stage and everybody was over there. I can do a lot of stuff, but you had to just stay away from me. You know, until basically me going into therapy, and then she like, you gotta like embrace people, and I'm like, what? No, I don't. She like, yes, you do, and I'm like, why can't I just give them the services? She like, because you could give them the services, but they gonna want to know more about you, and because you relate to them, and you're not coming in just trying to find a way to make money, because she was like, you giving the agency for free, which is even more crazy. Like, you doing all this for them for free. Everything I do for free. I get the light jackets out for free. My consultant agency is free.
How do you fund this stuff? I mean, like out your own pocket, like
out my own pocket. And right now, I mean, I do on my website
or things like that.
Mm-hmm. I accept donations through my website, mqconsultant.info.
What type of donations? Monetary or like? I mean,
you know what?
Like this type
do you provide like anything else like?
No, well,
So
see,
right
my
now
whole
it's
thing
just
is,
monetary donations.
right now I'm taking monetary donations because I am traveling around to spread the awareness about the consultant agency.
Right.
I can't just go up to the Board of Education and say, hey, I'm signing kids up with mental impairment to sue y'all. Y'all know that if y'all don't hurry up and give them the adjusted needs that they need, so they block me. Like, they don't even, like, a lot of people, I know a lot of people on my Facebook page in the educational system, they do not share nothing I do. But they'll whisper to somebody, look, go see that girl, Mogul Queen, because she got a consultant agency that you may need to hear about. And by the way, I am bilingual. So I do want to take in a lot of kids too that are minorities. And that's why I'm doing a seminar on Saturday, because a lot of us are being either misdiagnosed or undiagnosed.
Right. Lost, basically. Yeah. Well, let's get them.
It's been for years.
Right.
But like you said, now it was up to me to try to tell them. That's why I did the seminar. Like, you know what? Let me try to show people from the neurological standpoint what happens before it even becomes an emotion. What's going on up here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on up
those
here
pictures,
at different.
Like, have you seen those like MRIs and things? It's like where you see the parts of the brain that's active.
Right, but I'm just talking about from a neurological standpoint. Like, first you just think about it one time, right? Then you think about it 2 times. But then now it goes from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. Now you're thinking about it even more longer of what happened to you. But the whole time your brain is slowing down. And now unknowingly you becoming something that's going to be diagnosed. Because now you begin aware. Like, all right, wait, like, I remember this happening already. Like, is this going to happen the same way it happened the last time, or is it going to be a curve? Wait. Now it's an emotional response to it. Like me, I used to be standoffish. That's my emotional response. For my emotional response, now what am I doing? I'm getting anxiety. I'm going and I'm fidgety now. But now I'm catching a panic attack, and the panic attack could be that I could explode and just start smacking people. I could hit people. That's why, that's when you get shell shock, PTSD, because now your mind is conditioned to think like that at all times. People to the point where they start conditioning their minds to think like that so much. Now they want to quiet down the mind, and the mind don't quiet down. The schemers are just going. So all the pictures of all the PTSD that happen in your life, if it's a long-lasting effect, and then boom, that's it. I don't want to think like this no more.
So you have to
So
learn
now
how
they
to
jump the bridge.
control these thoughts.
You know?
Yeah,
Right.
but that,
You
yeah,
have to learn how to control.
Now
have
you gotta
know-
learn how to control.
You have
Separate.
to know that a cup is only a cup.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry about the water
Something
that's
in it or
inside.
not. Right.
Half full, half
Yeah.
empty.
yeah.
I hate that saying because for somebody that has PTSD and you tell them that cup is half full or half empty, I'm gonna get fidgety because
Wow.
that cup
like
is half full and half empty, but something
It's
in my
both.
neurological process is now gaining anxiety because if I tip it over, there's nothing there but a cup.
Right.
So don't tell me that it's half full and half empty because I can tip it over and there's only gonna be a cup, and then now we sit the cup because that's who I am. Straight, nothing in the inside. I want to just be that
cup.
right there.
Cup is a cup.
You know, I don't want to have no weight on me.
Right.
So, ever thought about a child pamphlet that's breaking down PTSD awareness, where the kids could read and say, "Oh," and then learn that way?
Well, more so, like my whole thing is to basically do the seminar.
Yeah.
Where I'm educating the parent, because if the parent know, the quicker they know, the quicker they can go. Like some kids, I'm telling you, you can get trauma from being in your mother's womb. Just being in there.
Yeah,
You know, because if the mother is going through trauma
Yeah.
theirself,
Yeah.
some kids come out the womb already anxiety.
Yeah.
How? I don't know because I didn't study that
The
part.
responsibility of control to
Mhm.
seek out the help that they really need. So it's on the parents to really identify.
You will want to identify it
what's
early
going
so you can do
on.
early childhood
Right.
interventions and then go in.
Right, you know,
Then
your son is
the
just
earlier the
bad or
better.
something's wrong.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
You know-
seen
you
2
know
or
how
3
he
year olds with
acts.
one-on-ones.
Yeah.
If he start doing
Mhm.
something crazy, you gonna be looking at him sideways like he doing something, you know?
Yeah.
But some
That ain't right.
some
You know?
parents.
If they could
Oh,
diagnose a
most
child by
kids-
2 years old being autistic, Asperger's, ADHD, and so on and so forth, then they can diagnose a child with mental impairment that early too.
Yes.
Which is it is a mental impairment.
Yes.
But kids learn is fast learners just as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why it's best to get this information to the kids just as well, because sometimes their parents may forget, and the kids already dealing with it. Like, all right, I need to learn something.
And
I would
autistic can have
see,
still PTSD
like
in
a
it too.
children's
Mhm.
book
Yeah.
on like feelings and stuff like that. You know, put it in a way that can describe different types of feelings for children.
Yeah.
Children can understand.
Yeah, I think that's something.
Honestly,
Something like
that's
that is
important. Because
that's
me
important.
personally, as an adult, I have serious trouble identifying emotions. Like I sometimes because I noticed that like sometimes like I'm very emotional at times, and it's like you know, I can be like I'll know something is wrong through a physical response.
Mhm.
Like say I can be sad, I won't know it necessarily, but I'll cry, and it's
Mhm.
like I don't. To me, I'm not sad, but my body is telling me no, you upset right now, and it's like
I wake up
Yeah.
every morning.
those
and I
pamphlets,
cry.
those emotional
I woke
pamphlets.
up. Do you
That's
understand that?
important. Yeah.
Why am I crying? I woke up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God gave me another day.
Mhm.
Why do I cry?
It's trauma responses. Like hers, she blocked out that emotion. At some point in
I
time,
don't dream.
she didn't want to have that emotion no
I
more.
turned
She
it
didn't
off.
want to be a crier.
Yeah.
So now she blocked off the emotion that she wants to cry, but her body is still responding to the cry. Like saying, okay, cry. Like me, I told you it took me I go into therapy to even produce tears.
Right.
Like I tell people all the time, like, oh my God, I'm crying. But you don't see me crying. Like they be like, girl, you was not crying.
Yeah.
But I'm crying, like inside I'm
You feel it,
crying.
yeah.
But I've been crying for so long since I was
You
young
dry
and
up.
pain.
Your tear
There's
ducts
like
don't
no
even-
tears there
Yeah.
because like I'm just like not equipped to
Right, yeah.
cry.
That's more of seriousness.
Because I'm the oldest child
Yeah.
too in my
Oh, yeah.
family.
Yeah,
That
so
plays
you
a
always
key
had to
role
be
too.
Strong.
The oldest always is a
Right.
certain amount of
And I'm
Right.
always working through my traumas. Like I was always the big sister. I was always the dependent one. I was always everything. So what I'm gonna do? Cry along the way and do it?
Period.
No.
I still
So I learned how to cry inside, like while I'm doing it.
Mhm.
Like when I'm taking my mom to the doctor's appointments, and sometimes I didn't want to take her, I'm crying. Like, but you know that you can't see me crying, but I'm
Yeah.
crying like
I
I
know
want
I'm
to go.
crying. I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's only very few times in my life that I have cried, like outwardly. Especially when my daughter had her near drowning and they was telling me that she wouldn't make it. I mean, that's my first daughter that I birthed. Not, I always tell people, not that my sons mean anything, but they gonna go off and they gonna get married. This is my baby girl. Like, this is, we supposed to be traveling the world, whether she know it or not. I'm like hooking her like onto my other arm, like, come on, sis, like we out. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to show her that poise, that etiquette, that boss move of just going into the room and pronouncing your name correctly and be able to communicate with people, because that's something else, that the reason why I do the educational system. That's business.
Right.
Networking. That opens up doors for what you want to be when you come out of your state, when you in the educational sector.
For your next adventure. Yeah.
You know, like learn bigger vocabulary. Go into the next level where you learn bigger vocabulary. I want, when you stay from Camden, New Jersey, they won't believe you like they don't believe me when I go places.
Why? Because you ain't say one nigga yet.
Right. Or I didn't cuss, or I didn't show anything that they urbanly that they would expect.
Anything they recognize.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they even be like, well, did you live in Camden all your life? Like if I just showed up here or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all my life. Like I went to Puerto Rico for 2 years, but I ain't want to be there. So I was checked out mentally anyway. I was still in Camden. Like, you know, so it's just like,
Speaking appropriately. That's it, you know what I mean?
But it came with somebody believing in me that named me Mobile Queen. Remember I was telling you about the lady, Miss Oliver? She the one that basically put me with these people to teach me poise and teach me etiquette, teach me how to walk in a room with shoes on, teach me how to introduce myself, teach me to go on these platforms and don't be scared to talk whatever you got to say, and make sure that whatever you say, the people remember who you are. I didn't know then.
Somebody showed notice to me.
But she seen more in me than what I seen in myself, and she just took me and molded me.
Everybody
But she took me and molded me, but now I can't do that. Well, I can't take in a child and just mold one child. I got 6 children of my own.
We got your own kids.
But what can I do for these kids so they could be able to not even have somebody look at them differently? I could stop it early, and then they could just go ahead and trauma. For real, this shouldn't be like a big subject for us to talk about. And I feel like now we being viewed as guinea pigs to want to learn about trauma, because the most trauma come from inside the city or coming from urban neighborhoods where it's predominantly either Hispanics or blacks. So now they're putting us in this one room and they want to interview us and want to ask us all these questions just to get information to help out other people. Not even helping out us. You know what I'm saying?
Can I ask this question?
Yes.
I know it's not that easy to help teach others, right? PTSD, right? But how difficult is it, or how easy is it teaching your own kids? Because when you're giving this knowledge to other parents, they gotta, work with their own kids. Now, how difficult was it to, if your kids is dealing with PTSD or were, how difficult was that, or if they were?
Oh yeah, all my 3 oldest sons, they all suffer from severe complex PTSD. So this is not even the condition, like what is called classical PTSD. It's not complex. Chronic is the most complex one. So my oldest son, he really just, one thing about PTSD, it could happen today, like the trauma could happen today, it could show up later on.
Right.
Because the mind starts slowing down gradually depending on how many times you think about it. So it happened at him when he was 11, but he didn't start showing signs until he was 14. But at that point in time, I didn't even know I had PTSD. So I couldn't even help somebody I didn't even know about myself. All I can do is just put him in safe, because that's all I can do as a mother, was just get a safety barrier. He decided he didn't want to go to school no more. All right. But then now DC and PNP got involved. So I'm thinking they're going to force him to go back to school. They didn't. What they did was they started looking at me. I'm like, why are you looking at me? I'm going to nursing school. Like, I'm doing what I got to do. And I was screaming out for help, but there was no help for me. But then now the other one started showing behaviors, and it's like, okay. Like, now he's showing behaviors too, but he didn't drop out. He was an athlete, top athlete. He started slowing down. Like, he didn't want to go to practice no more. It started showing out there on the court. He's like one of them All-Americans. You could put him on the track team. He was number 1, inside the city of Camden. You could put him on a basketball team. At 6'2", he was what? He was 13, and he was like 6 foot tall already. So he was good on a basketball field, and then his strength and his speed gave him the ability to be quarterback and running back in the football, like on the field. So he was all American, and he could not be controlled because of his rage. Some kids you could put on the field and they be rage, but they show it in just like impacts.
Right.
But he was raised to the point where if like they wasn't running the plays right, he was going against his own teammates. Like, you was supposed to be here. The coach said something, he was slamming the coach. So I was like, all right, I gotta pull him back. His mental state wasn't right. But then there was no help either. So he just running around basically manic, because on top of that he had insomnia. He could go to he don't have to sleep for 2 or 3 days. He'll run around all day long around the house. You'll see snack wrappers, all kind of stuff, because he hasn't been able to sleep. And he had this condition way before PTSD hit him. So it just was like, all right, let me pull him back, create a safe barrier on him. But then now my other one started showing behaviors too. He didn't want to go to school because like my oldest son wasn't going to school, and now his mental condition was starting. But he was the one who attempted suicide. And if it wasn't because the shower curtain, the shower pool wasn't attached to the wall, he would have. But this is the kicker. I said, what's that noise? And one of my other sons was like, he opened up the door. He like, stupid fool, almost just tried to hang himself. And closed the door back and walked away. So I was like, what? You know, like shockingly, like what? Like, oh my God. Like, and I did take them and, you know, get them evaluated. But at the end of the day, like all 3 of my sons went through that part. But then it's me against 3. Now, and at that time, my daughter she's still highly medically complicated special needs child with a traumatic brain injury. So then I had my own PTSD. But at that point, my kids' life mattered more than me. So I did get them the help that they needed. I tried to, nobody could really figure it out. So it left me to figure it out. What my sons needed when they was how can a child, especially my oldest son, he was honor roll student. He was like passing state tests. He was spelling bee competition champion. He went to regionals into state. He was top of all of this stuff. Like I was tutoring my children.
Great children, by the way.
Thank you. Like my children, I took time out to educate them before they went into the educational setting because my mother couldn't educate me. So when she couldn't educate me, and of course we all have this dream, we want to be better than our parents, I decided I'm going to educate my children before they go into the school system, so you won't have to look at this child. You can go ahead and work on the other ones. But when it was time for them to look at my children, they overlooked them. And they put the blame on me as a parent, and they sent DCMP and P into my home. Well, now I had to exhibit that I was that parent, a single soul parent to all my children. And until I sat there and was like, you know what, enough is enough. I'm finished graduating from nursing school. My daughter is, healthy. All my children is healthy. Either you're going to help us or you're going to leave us alone. And that's when they decided at the same time my son was turning 18 that they were there because of his behaviors. He's 18 now. We don't have to be here no more. They shut the case and they left us exactly the way we was 5 years earlier.
What was the point?
Harass you.
What was the point?
Well, because he had dropped out of school and they wanted to know why he wasn't showing up to school.
They had to do the minimum of
he
what
was
they had to
14.
do.
I mean, but
They
like that's
did
a
the
5-year case, and it's like, okay, he turned 18, so we ain't got to worry no more. But like,
No, is that
They did
DHS?
nothing.
They
Yes.
did the
Okay.
minimum.
For Philadelphia, that's DHS.
Yeah, so they did nothing. So that's the next thing that I'm working on. Like, I'm back with a vengeance with an education, with my own education. You know, like, okay, you might have skipped past me, but now I educated myself, then now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to file these things so like that you can get lawsuits. We're going to cost people money, or we're going to adjust it, because my children I gave y'all great children.
period.
I gave the city of Camden great educated children at home. So when people always on Facebook, oh, it starts at home. It do start at home, and I started it at home, and I gave y'all honor roll students. I gave y'all talent. My kids is multi-talented. My child, my 17 about to be 18-year-old should not even be in the city of Camden. He should already be somewhere else
I commend.
being mentored to go ahead and go into college. He should already know what college he's about to go into under a scholarship. That was my whole plan as a soul mother from young. That I knew I had a big family. They could go all under scholarships. I ain't got to pay no money out of pocket because at that time I didn't even have a career. I didn't even have a high school diploma.
Wow.
So I'm like, if I educate my kids and I get them to all get scholarships, then I can just stay home as a mother and just chill out. My job here is done. I ain't have no education, no high school diploma, but I had the education to teach them the basic criteria of graduating high school. But it didn't work like that. That's why you can plan all you want,
Right.
but the life will tell you which way to go.
Sure will. There you
Yeah.
go. All right.
Mhm.
All right. Well, before we get out, we're gonna continue back with Janika, but you know the conversation is so interesting.
No,
It
yeah,
just went on. We went on. Yeah, I should start with you.
Yeah.
I don't think she even
Because
was
her time is
prepared for
short.
it.
She's
Because
from
I-
out of town and her time is short. So
Yes, and I
Jay,
thank you for staying.
you had the floor. Just tell our viewers a little bit of what you do. You know,
Mhm.
go ahead and get your 15 minutes of fame.
Break
Whatever.
it down, baby.
Your couple seconds or
Yes, ma'am.
whatever. She came here with a camera out.
Mhm.
This is
Out.
Yeah.
Bang, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
But my name is Jay. I'm a producer, mainly a producer engineer.
Music.
Yeah, I'm a
I'm
music
about to say
girl.
for music.
Yeah. Have you had Honey Rock on here?
Honey Rock won't come.
Show my
No.
Instagram right now.
Rock.
Show my Instagram right
Yeah,
now.
she
Yeah,
on your
but,
gram.
yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to
Don't
Honey
see
Rock.
on the gram because she
Alright.
couldn't find babe. What's
Yeah.
up?
Shout out
She
to Honey
probably
Rock. I
came
love her.
on mine too.
Yeah,
Yes.
But one of her tracks is produced by me. I got a couple
Which
tracks.
one?
Talk to him.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Talk to him. Yeah, that's my beat.
Oh shit, I'll play it.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
I got a couple with Mills coming. I got videos.
Up the yin yang.
Yeah, and honestly, like when it warms up
Sounds
outside, it's
neat.
gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Films me.
Yeah, like you know, I've been known Miss Jenny for some years now.
Yeah, I was,
Yeah.
I was the girl with the funkiest boots in town.
Oh, dang! Wait, what was that video? That was the getting money.
Getting this money.
Yeah, that was the getting this money video.
Yeah.
So I've been around for a little bit.
Money.
Yeah, no. Miss Jenny came through with big bucks.
Yeah,
Miss Jenny
big
came
bucks.
through with the big bucks.
I
Yeah.
think it's-
I
I'm
was
gonna
proud
come
of
through
her.
though. I'm gonna come through, but I want you to just basically put a beat behind my messages
Oh.
and
Okay.
record my messages.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
because
I really
I tell
respect
people
what you're talking.
I'm in the industry, y'all don't even know it.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Mine come from a different
A
mission.
beat behind you talking.
Well, I'm saying like an introduction beat. You know how to go.
Need that.
Something like-
Bam. Like
Next
something
time.
like bam, the
Next time I come
hogo queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah,
you said
producer
yeah.
will be.
I'll be the
Yeah.
voice. I'll be the voice.
I can't sing, but I mean, like, I
Miss
would
Jenny,
say
you
something.
can talk a little bit.
Yeah, like let's do it. And then you got that camera.
Exactly. Like,
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do a
I'm-
promo
I'm-
video.
If somebody gave me a rhyme, I could hit it.
Okay.
I can't rhyme, but you know what?
You got the right. You got the right.
I'm about to say.
I could do it.
Yeah, I
You better
believe
be
in
able to
Miss Jenny.
do
I
as
know
much
you
as you
can.
can.
Keep on doing
I know
that,
you
man.
can be a good performer. I know you can be a good performer, Miss Jenny. You want to perform? You want to?
No,
good
not
look.
me.
You gave a
Not
good
me,
little two-step, Miss
girl.
So
Jenny.
let's get to the camera. What the camera do?
Oh, so this is my baby.
Mm-hmm.
This joint right here is more expensive than my first two cars.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Yes, this is a Sony A7R3. Yes, take a look at this baby.
Mm-hmm.
She's official. She's legit.
Beautiful.
I'm quiet about it. I'm just trying to do something,
So photography, because I'm always up for.
Therapy and
I do
photography.
some modeling, but doing
Okay.
photo shoots and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I need promo shoots.
We
Yeah.
all need
Yeah.
good pictures. Simple as
Period.
that.
I need
Take our
pics.
phone
Take a
pictures.
pic. Take a
We
pic.
got
Yes,
phone
take a look.
pictures and they not hitting
Photo shoot.
everything.
Let's go. And hold on, because I also do the little Photoshop stuff. I'm good with the cutouts. I can assist on the flyers.
Okay.
I do a lot of things. Honestly, I'm just trying to be great.
What are you doing here today?
At this point in time, you are great if you ask me. Because at the end of the day, my ex-husband was a producer, and I seen him start off with just like basically
Attack.
you gotta have a gift to be a producer. It don't come with learning. You gotta have the gift to do it.
Yeah.
So you are already there.
Right.
I seen it with my own eyes. You gotta be gifted. I'm looking at that stuff like,
You're
gifted.
Music already. You know what I mean?
don't worry about it. And I want you to basically put more into yourself.
I'm trying.
You introduce yourself very well, but then you got a little low on me. No, I need you to keep them vibrations high. I am a photographer. I can shoot you a video 2.5 seconds. How they can get a hold of you?
Jada Boss 215 on Instagram. JEY is on there. You'll see a picture of me looking all extra cute. Yeah, I'm down to work. I'm just trying to work. I'm trying to put my head down and hustle. My time is coming.
Your time is here.
Sooner than
You're on the
later.
Comfort Level Podcast. Your time is
right.
now.
Now they
Yes.
see you, because that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
bringing awareness to the brands. Now, if you forget where you can find her at, you can always holler at me right here.
Yes, Miss
And
Jamie Schmidt. She know everybody.
I'll
She know
make the
everybody.
connection.
Yes.
That's what we
By the
do.
way, this is my producer for the Felice Anthem.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
here.
Really happy.
And
Dropping
my
on March 2nd.
March 2nd. Yes, sir.
All right, we got the date official. Let's
And
go.
then we got My Imagination coming out soon, which
Mhm.
she's the producer for that just
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
She's my videographer for the videos.
And I'll be
Sir
singing
Urban.
the verse on that.
Yes. So,
Hey, Jamie, come on.
yeah.
Come
I'll
on,
be
talk
turning
some
up.
of the Camden stuff. Come on,
He's
spit some
like,
Jersey stuff.
no.
I'm gonna get you one of these days, Miss Jamie. I'm gonna get you
on
on the
I'm
track.
gonna be singing the verse on somebody's track.
Come on, you already got the
I don't have
haircut.
to sing the verse. I can just talk something. I can just say something, y'all.
All right, come on. You could be DJ Khaled on the track, Miss Jamie.
Yeah, I'm DJ,
Yeah.
like DJ Khaled.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's go,
see,
Miss Jamie.
independent, we the best.
DJ Nice.
Get out of here.
Yes.
We up at this point.
Actually, that's actually like, I work a lot with LGBT artists as well.
Okay.
I actually have like a little label that I'm working on with like a couple of friends, and actually that's what we call it. We Up period.
Okay.
You know? Yes.
Yes. So
We
that.
up here.
Yes. So that's like me and a couple of friends. Stream Roses by King RM that just came out. Without Me by Jack's Official is already out. Krabby Patty by Vince that's already out.
Oh my
and they
God.
all bops.
Okay.
They all bops, and we all all three of those artists have projects coming out later in the year.
Good.
So so on my
You
production,
working.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm quiet about it. I'm just trying to
Jada
make my
Boss.
I
moves.
can't let you be
Yeah.
quiet about it anymore. At that point in
She
time.
got
Yes,
she
opened
knows
up her
now.
mouth
She
today.
knows
Yeah.
now what's happening.
No, I can't let you be quiet about
We
that.
are
I'm
so
very
glad
big
that
on
you
women.
came through, Jay.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was telling her about the system that we were talking about with the
Yeah, I wanted to do
Yeah.
a thing. I'll send you what I have it. You see, we set up over
Yeah.
there, and you have your little.
Yeah, I'll bring a keypad and
And you can
my
sit
laptop.
right there, and we do live beats. But
See what
what
I'm
I
saying?
like to do is have an artist schedule a session with you to come in and do live beats. Of
Yeah.
course, you're gonna have to pay for it. Okay.
Yes.
Now that doesn't mean, but the thing of it is as we interview the artists, you can get to know what
Them,
type of
yeah.
stuff that they like and
Yes.
get to know them while you bang it on the nigga.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then that doesn't mean they have to grab a beat from you right here. You know, they can come to where you at or
Right.
whatever, and y'all can work
Mm.
together on getting them a beat that's designed especially for them.
Yes, definitely, and I can also record you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like I have my own equipment, so it's not like a studio type thing where you got to pay the studio and me. Like we can work it out. I try not to kill people pockets. I just never been that person. I'm not trying to eat off one person. If I do enough work, I'm going to eat.
Exactly.
So as long as I'm doing enough,
That's
I'm
kind
good.
of the way we do things around here.
Mhm.
That has been the way we do things, And I like networking with people who think like that. You know what I mean? I'm wearing this
before they get
LB4R.
Alright.
Okay, that means loyalty before royalty.
Okay.
So
I like
I'm wearing that. I'm tatted up with it.
Yeah.
Everything. That's my gang.
Period. That's the
Period. That's it.
Right.
That's how we ride. Loyalty before royalty. The money don't come first. The loyalty does.
Right.
So loyalty can come out in any way, whether you giving a service, You're delivering a product or what have you. You know what I mean? You sticking with somebody, you networking, you know what I mean?
Come get your
That's
beat
how it goes.
built by Jay the producer.
Get your beat.
All right, come get it built, man. She's thorough. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I gotta walk through the door.
All right.
But I really appreciate you. Oh yeah. More pictures out here.
No, right here, like while we sitting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna take some pictures and whatnot.
I'm still
Tally
talking a little
do.
bit. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, I'm chopping it up.
Oh, you gonna take pictures like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of video. That's it. Yeah. This is gonna be for the video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool.
Video.
I won't look crazy. I look good on profile though. Look at the side.
You know how Miss Danny, you
That's
know.
what we doing. We working 24/7 around the clock, man. Straight up.
I'm good.
Mm.
Helped you out.
Okay, come on, Miss Danny, pose.
Look, Queen.
Oh, cricket.
There we go.
We talk.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So we make it happen, you know what I mean?
We got to do
Yeah,
some facts.
for all the people. This
Well,
the
this is
video
how
shoot.
we do.
There
We
go.
on the video shoot.
Right.
If you was here today, you might have been in the film.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
History in the
Okay.
making, man. Let's go.
This is Black
right,
History
bro.
in
Yeah.
the making.
10 years
Yeah.
later from now, we're gonna look at this, man. You know, we're gonna be in different places, but then we can look at this picture and remember
Yeah.
where we came from. man.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That's how it go
Yeah,
down.
that's where we at with it.
That's what separates you from
Yeah.
ordinary and legendary. You know,
Right.
when you leave an impact and something for somebody to keep on researching your name
Right, man.
through music, writing, talking, just illustrations, all of that.
So I'm creating a small
All
documentary, man.
of your gifts should
Yeah.
be used before you end the time.
And shown.
And shown.
Yes, man.
That's right. Well, the comfort level is a place to do it. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we do things around here. If you got something to show, you got a brand or whatever, you're welcome to just come on in.
What up, Jay?
Just come. Let me know. We schedule you out, and you get to talk about, you know, your brand. Okay. You know? So I can't wait. We want to tell the people you'll be live.
I will be live. I'm gonna be live through Facebook.
This, for the
Um,
seminar. We want to know about it. Time is it?
It's 6:15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to take some pictures of her. Hit the button.
This one. She got a sonic guitar.
Oh, you want her sonic guitar?
Yeah.
Okay.
She don't make it big.
Yeah, the sonic guitar.
Hold on, I want to get your thing.
I'm so
up
shy.
here.
I don't even know how to take pictures.
Just smile.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know.
oh, I say I'm sure if somebody say some questions or something like that, I'll take them down.
Who? I'm taking questions.
Well, the call number is up there. You can give us a call. Our number is 856-964-WCMT.
Go.
Give us a call. We'll put this over a little bit, just like that. So you can see more on the side while you're telling people about the seminar.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm over here. You wanna
Yeah,
tell-
so there you go. Traumatic brain injury versus trauma care. If you're looking at the screen, is on February 26, 2022. The location is at 1865 Harrison Avenue in Camden, New Jersey, 08105. You can go over to the website and you can register on the website. It's free to come in person. At MQ Consultant Agents, no, it's mqconsultant.info. Oh, slash.
It's a slash. To get to the
Oh yes, slash after to get the website, right? So it's mqconsultant.info
slash.
/
Yes.
and then the phone number is 856-202-7660. Also, if you would like to view it, I'll be viewing it off of my Facebook page, Mogul Queen,
Mogul Queen.
MOGULQUEEN. What the hell? I'm like lost because I'm thinking of something else. Also, we'll be
Mobile
going
Queen.
live at 5 o'clock. Yeah, because I didn't tell the time. It starts at 5 o'clock. Also, this is what I was thinking about.
Online it's at 5 o'clock?
Yes,
Because
both of them.
It says 7 o'clock.
Hmm.
It says 7 o'clock.
What?
On the thing.
No, 5 to 7. It should start from 5 to 7.
No, it says 7 o'clock when you register.
When you register, it says 7 o'clock. Oh, it'll be over at 7.
You gotta go in there and fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I guess that's just the error, but it starts at 5 and it ends at 7. Mm-hmm. Also, what I was gonna say, when you come to the seminar, you will receive a free, I want to say, case study of my life. So I co-authored a book called, and the book is called Overcome Them All and Be Great. In the book, I have a chapter called I Never Wanted Her Beauty to Fade. In that chapter, I will be exemplifying my life. We will use it as a case study, and you will learn how to identify the outcome of the seminars. You will be able to identify trauma early enough in a child that they won't have the long lasting effects.
That's what Mills was asking you.
Mm-hmm.
So he missed this part by stepping out. He had to walk our guests out. But yeah, that's what he was asking you. Is there?
Well, he was
would
talking
you have
about
any points that were wasn't? But those are the points.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was telling him. Well, I didn't finish getting to tell him. We were just talking about
Right.
the seminar, but we didn't dive
I
deep
hear
on what
running.
was coming
I
from the
hear
seminar.
running. You don't like missing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She just answered your question. Good. Say that again.
My question.
When you come to the seminar.
So when you come to the seminar, you will be given a case study, which is a chapter out of a book called Overcome Them All and Be Great, which I'm a co-author on. As y'all know, I'm an author and co-author. That book is called Overcome Them All and Be Great. The B is BEA. Great. My chapter is called I Never Wanted Her Beauty to Fade. You will receive the case study. The case study is going to be given to you so like that you could be able to read about my life and understand the early ages of and identifying the trauma. So that's basically it. I was saying you could have used this right here.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, bag it. So that thing loose. There we are.
Here we go. Sorry about that, people.
He like his Instagram. He get more views than I do. So that is big on it. He get more views than I do.
Hey, Mills, Instagram.
Mills popular. You know what?
You've been invaded by the mobile queen.
What's up?
So the case study, Mills,
Yeah.
the case study. You're going to be able to learn about my life. It's a timeline of my life. It goes from the beginning all the way up until who I am now. You'll even learn about my children. You'll learn about a little bit more about my children. You'll learn more about what happened, how my ex-husband became my ex-husband. You'll learn about why my daughter has a traumatic brain injury. You'll notice why I advocate so hard and how I became an international special needs advocate. You'll learn all that about me, but the most important thing is that you're going to walk away is that you're going to start learning how to identify trauma early in children enough to be able to save them from a long life lasting effect of trauma. So, you perform tomorrow night, not Saturday night?
Yeah, Saturday I'm free.
Oh, okay. So, if you're available, you could either come in person down to 1865 Harrison Ave in Camden, New Jersey, or you can view it through the webinar, which I'll just be going live through Facebook. I won't be. Somebody's going to be holding my phone. They're going to be going live.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
We're going to do it.
So,
we do it from your laptop?
I was about to say, listen, however it need to be done, we could do it.
Yeah, we got
You
y'all.
do it from your laptop? Did you bring your laptop today?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yep, it's in the car.
Yeah, well, I just want to look at it to see what plugs in the side.
Okay, yes. So, You know, that's just basically it. Let's not keep on talking about trauma,
Right.
and let's learn how to start identifying trauma. Let's save kids early on from going through what we're going through,
Yeah.
learning what we feel, having these people just feed us medications and put us on medication before we can even find healing.
Yeah,
The healing shouldn't be in the medication. The healing should be the same
mental,
way your
right.
mind went that way. You should be able to learn how to reverse it on your own and deal with it, because outside of the medication,
That's
you're
the
still
whole
going to
point.
deal with it.
Because you're
That's
not
the whole
understanding your
point
problem.
right there.
You're not
Mhm.
understanding your
Oh,
problem.
man.
Once you understand your problem, you could beat PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 'Cause I had
And 9 times out of 10, it's all like different cases of love, right?
yeah.
Because like you just feel like you just lost love for that person, or that person didn't never love you, or like the world didn't love me because it put me through all of this.
Mhm.
So at the same time, you can always embrace somebody because you know what it means. And
Right.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I ain't there all the way yet, but I'm learning.
'Cause yeah.
Because I don't want people. It's a hard life. It was a hard life dealing with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that I learned about all of this, about just for my own outlet.
Mhm.
And and to see a child that doesn't even know what's going on, and then people pushing them this way, people pushing them that way, people, sending them home and thinking that a beating would cure this, and it's not. It's not.
Yeah. You gotta sit down and talk, because you gotta have people that know what they're talking about. But on the flip side, you gotta have people that's listening. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't listen to every advice, because every advice is gonna, deter you, or it might bring you closer to who you are, or deter you from who you ain't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like my PTSD, I had to learn through repeated behaviors, right?
Right.
And we're to the point where I got stuck, I got struck. You know what I mean? And a physical struck, or even an inner struck of something. You know what I mean? Where it was like, wow, I can't believe this happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I had to go to a point where I had to talk to a counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I had to go to a program or jail program, I opted to talk to a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to actually dig deep, man, in myself and say, you know what? These are the actual things that I'm thinking. So let me tell this person that said that, it's confidential. And I told this person everything, that was in my deepest thoughts and stuff like that. And that allowed me to come out of that conversation lighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then, I left a lot behind because I was able to share it with somebody. You can't share your information with everybody, because PTSD, you know what I mean? That's
It's
crazy,
trauma.
right? It's
Yeah,
trauma.
it's
That,
already
you don't want people
trauma,
to know them things about
And
you.
then be repetitive about it, because
Right.
a normal therapist won't be able to give you that.
No.
They're only conditioned to ask questions, and that's a psychiatrist.
Right.
So now you done told them, like, they be like, how do you feel?
Mhm.
You like trying to stake them up, but then you start opening up and telling them, but then you didn't get no results. How hard is that's traumatizing in itself as a person that already feel trapped.
Right.
That's why when people come to me, like at my clients, I'm already a person that suffer with PTSD.
Yeah.
I take kids to heart.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear sometimes about the trauma that go on.
Right.
So that's why I stated inside my consent form, I do not diagnose or treat, because I just want to do this part, and I'm gonna refer you to who's gonna help them,
Right.
the right people,
Right.
which is a trauma
And
facilitator,
nobody wants
a
to be
grievance
liable.
counselor, and a psychiatrist. Sometimes you need all three.
Sometimes it takes steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you can't get upset for the fact that this one person can't help you, but they helping you. You gotta recognize the help, and then you know what I mean. And then you gotta understand that there's steps to help. So sometimes you can't get all the help at one time. So that's what people gotta understand about clearing their thoughts and getting rid of understanding their PTSD and understanding who they are and where they're going.
Well, I mean, some people don't even PTSD, but for real, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of misdiagnosis. I'm talking about altered brain injuries. I'm talking about bipolar, schizophrenic. I'm talking about schizophrenic. This all personality disorders, anxiety, panic attacks. I'm talking about all of this, and all of these come out of conditions of however you were impacted by trauma. Trauma always don't come out to being PTSD.
Right.
It could be just
Nervous
something that
condition.
just happened. Yeah, like you know what I'm
overthinking
saying.
condition. Right.
It could be trauma, but not PTSD.
Right.
Let me put it to you like that,
Right.
because trauma in itself, it basically is the scenario that got you to the PTSD or got you to the bipolar schizophrenic, got you to all that. My whole thing is sometimes a person's mind, because all of us have unique minds and unique thoughts and a unique neurological process, is sometimes you have to pull the child back and just focus on safety. What's the safety? Making sure they eat and making sure they drink and making sure they feel safe until you get them the help.
Right.
It ain't no talking to them. Don't even bother talking to them, because guess what? Sometimes they mind already talking to them. You know what I'm saying? They tell them to exhibit these behaviors. Don't add on to fire. Just go ahead and just make sure that they ate the day, drunk the day, anything. Because sometimes, like I tell people, you take a kid, let's say, down to the police station. Before they did this, cause the hurt or the trauma, wherever they got them down there, the violent thought they got them to have doing the violent act, because it's all out of something traumatic that gets them to that point.
Right.
If I tell you to hate somebody, your mind doesn't automatically go into hate unless you condition it to hate.
Right.
It's never going to be conditioned to hurt somebody unless it starts to be conditioned because of all the hurt you got. That's my next steps too, is just to make sure the police station is offering that water, offering that food, or just keep on offering that water. Right. Put it there. Sometimes they might not even want it from you because you're the oppositional. Right. Some kids are oppositional too. Right. One of my children is oppositional to defiance order.
Put it there, they'll grab for it.
They'll grab for it. Have it already there on the side, because that's going to be your most resource, is to give them something that is going to bring their neurological process back.
Yeah, relief.
Yeah, like let me drink something. Let me eat like a little snack. You know what I'm saying? Because then they'll be comfortable enough to say, okay, what happened here? Because a lot of people, when they do violent acts, they been checked out mentally.
Yeah, man.
So even if it was one violent act, like I remember when I got locked up. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I called my charge as a teenager, when I came back down off of my manic mood and my PTSD, like that made me hit the boy and break his nose, that I got an aggravated assault charge off of. I was like, why did I do that? Like, oh my God, like, now I'm back and I'm like regretful that I did it, but I did it already. So it's almost like you got to sit and know the consequences. And a lot of the consequences is out of that trauma, that traumatic state you were in.
You know what I'm thinking? Like sometimes, man, you gotta believe people when they tell you how they feel, right? And then you gotta follow up. If you're just a loved one of how you feel, you gotta ask them questions so these people could really show you and tell you what they're feeling. So that little how are you feeling, and that belief system, man, could release a lot of tension from people, their outbursts and stuff. Negative outbursts.
Like I know some children that go through identity crisis when they hit trauma. Like as soon as they hit trauma, they forget who they don't want to be them no more.
Right.
And who they want to be with. The toughest person they see, and then a lot of the toughest people they have mental impairments themselves. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They walking around, but they don't see it because now they escape from themselves.
Where you think we getting it from?
Right.
Where we borrow
So like this one lady I was talking to the other day. One of her grandsons, she got custody of them and they was removed from the home through domestic violence. But she said every time she go talk to the grandson about something, he goes basically and starts saying lies. Like he just goes into storytelling. So me knowing the education that I know, I sat there and told her, I said, well, in fact, your grandson is exhibiting trauma behavior. And more so, his trauma behavior is something called a fight or flight mode. Because he's a child and he cannot fight you and he cannot take flight, he goes into being a habitual liar. That is out of a psychological process from trauma. So now he's going to tell you a story so you can believe it. And he's believing it at the same time. Because now he done checked out of himself, so he believes this story. Oh, it happened in his mind because he done checked out. He's in flight mode. He's going to tell you everything that happened. And at the same time, he's believing it too because that's what you want to hear. And then after you say okay, he take flight, and then now he's out of the woods. Like he ain't on the radar no more.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's some insecurities, man.
So it's just more so that he checked out.
Right.
It's not that it's really more so insecurity. He ain't got no security. His security was the lie.
He's
Right.
lying.
The
Yeah,
security
that's-
was in the lie that to the point where he believed the lie. It's a habitual lie. It's a psychological process.
You don't know how to
Put my
man up.
guard around
Yeah,
himself.
some people don't know how to step
Well,
up.
it's scary because if you already was in a domestic violence situation where you already seen your mother getting all
I
of
know
this
somebody like that.
insults and aggravated assaults and stuff like that in front of you. Every time you come in contact with somebody that you might be getting in trouble, even as a little kid, you done seen your mother get all them beatings. Do you think that you're gonna sit there and say, "Oh, I did it"?
Right.
Oh no, it was like the person might not even be. I done seen it, and people be like, "Nah,
Yeah.
it was such and such." Da 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 da. Like what?
Yeah.
That person ain't even was here today. Yes, they was. You ain't see them the whole time. They believe in it. They self. Because that's this them checking out of themselves and basically giving you what you want to hear so they could go home.
Yeah, they just how you say that?
That's how even
Protecting
some people
themselves.
that's
Right.
how some people can even beat the lie detector
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
Habitual liars can beat the lie detector test.
I tried. I fell twice.
You trying to be
Yeah,
lying
yeah.
When you're not the father,
I'm always a father.
you're always the father.
Always.
He said he's always the father. That's funny.
He tried that too, Jay.
I ain't doing life. Just say that.
Right. But it goes in that deep, and the fact that he's only, I think he was like 3 or 4 years old. That's kind of like now I'm going into the behavior, and I'm like, wow, 3 years old, a habitual liar that can tell a story like that. What would we have him as a 15-year-old if he don't get the help he needs?
He'll be in jail.
So I basically consult her to go ahead and of course, contact early intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get him evaluated right away. Because no, I'm okay. I got this right here. Because if we don't get him evaluated in early intervention, then you're gonna start getting calls from school telling him to come pick him up. Because as he get older, his mind will keep on conditioning more. He's somebody just like me that grew up with is going to be growing up with the PTSD. You know what I'm saying? But I had was given an outlet early on, so I would say like my PTSD was like at a stop and then went on, and then went on. But his is like he just kept on seeing it probably since he was a baby.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so much, you know. So it's just kind of like. Then you be like, well, dang, did I really go through that much stuff? Like, you know, like, I started thinking about myself, like, dang, like, you know, what's worse? I mean, of course, me being shot was worse, but some people have had and still go through trauma. Like the woman that is in that DV, they keep on getting that beat down, that blunt force trauma to their heads and everything like that. And they still stay there. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're trapped in bondage. So it's like, whoa. Like, all right, I done took some hits, but like not physical hits like them, and then they still stay. And people be like, oh, they could walk away. Since if I keep on hitting you down to this ground and keep on hitting you, I want to see you get up and walk away. You're not going to get up and walk away. Why? Because now you in bondage yourself. You done flight or fight yourself. And then you're not going to take flight in the physical way. You're going to take flight in the emotional way. And the emotional way is to stay and try to understand why he keeps on hitting you. You're not going nowhere. And let me tell you something. A person that fought men, I'm still saying they ain't going nowhere.
Do you hear this?
It's hard.
We never, ever were able to figure out why the woman stayed as long as she did when the man was kicking her butt.
Mm-hmm. Because it's psychological process. What happens, the first time it happens is classical trauma. It just happened one time, and then it keeps on happening, and it goes into chronic trauma. It happened a couple of times, and then next thing you know, it's complex. When it's complex trauma, and you stay in what keeps you bondage, it becomes you.
Which is addiction.
And you know, and the predator, the guy that keeps on beating that, became him too. Like they both with traumas. No one is more liable for what happened or responsible for what happened. They both are mentally impaired at that point.
And on top of
But
that,
people look at him only, but they gotta look at both of them. Maybe she didn't ask for it, but then
Yeah.
people say, "Well, why did she stay?" She stayed. She asked for it. No, she didn't ask for it. But that's why we're gonna go into the altered brain
She
injury.
stayed because she probably thought that it could get better
Right.
or work out. Or
But
whatever,
because it goes so deep
it's
that
so
it just
deep,
two people with
well,
trauma with mental impairment.
yeah,
I can talk about it because I lived that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, I lived that with somebody that I was with from a very young age, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And when it was happening, the first time it happened, like you said, he apologized, everything, it'll never happen again, or whatever. He'll cry, boo, this happened, and then you don't realize that you are actually being abused. Like, it's not going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the same thing the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time, or whatever. But like you said, you are emotionally checked out. By that, you're emotionally checked out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And in that point, in the situations that you're in, you're there until you figure out how to take this flight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I spent some time plotting on maybe I might kill this mug.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That wasn't the route that I really wanted to take.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I had to take flight, like you said.
right, get ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get ghosts, you know.
In
what I mean?
reality.
That took time.
In real
That takes
real
time.
reality,
Take time.
sometimes we just check out and take flight in our mind, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
just go about our normal lives.
But I don't think you're never really over it. You know
Right.
why? Because there's always a trigger there.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a trigger there, you
Mhm.
know, because, like, I'll stand up to a man
Mm-hmm.
now. Like, nobody can never touch me,
Right.
you know, because
Because you gain yourself.
die.
Yep.
I'll die.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
You
Trying to
free
defend
from
myself.
bondage.
My mom
That's
the
what it
same
is.
way.
Defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got away from that, I told myself that I would never let that happen to me again,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't.
Right.
You know?
So now your trauma basically took you into
yeah.
I don't want to
And
go
I'm
there
so
no more.
but I'm traumatized that I might really do something really rash.
Right.
You know what I mean? To that point,
Mm-hmm.
like I ain't gonna want to fight you.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Because
is,
if
and
I
it
fight
comes
you,
like
I'm
that.
fighting to kill.
Right, because of your PTSD
That's
that
right.
you have
I'm fighting to
endured
kill
in
because
that
you're not gonna come
bondage.
back on me.
Mm-hmm. And then that's what PTSD outcome gives you. It gives you that hyper awareness, that vigilance, that emotional response, you know, because it's still emotional response even when it turned violent, it's still emotional response.
Yeah. But we're coming to the end of the thing, and before we get any more, y'all make sure that y'all come into that seminar on Saturday.
Saturday.
That's right. Make sure you come in there. It's 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So just gonna fix the time on that thing if you see it on there. Just make sure you go on the website. You must RSVP to attend. If you're not, then you can catch it on your Facebook page. Is it
Mogul Queen.
Mogul Queen. Okay, and I'm gonna be posting. So if you follow me, you can't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I wanted to say is sometimes you got angels. Angels is around you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
People take care of you and things like that.
Right.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, it's prize time because we got
Yes.
an angel here in the room, and I want to tell y'all about it. It's Mills Young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what the hell? I heard you. When I met you,
Oh,
Mills,
yeah.
I don't know. I've always been clumsy. You know what I mean? And when I met you, you didn't know me. I didn't know you. You asked me, was I okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been making sure that I've been okay ever since.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was dropping things. He was picking them up. He was following me around. Who is this guy? You know, he was very nice. He was a gentleman. He was pulling my chair out, getting my coat, all that stuff. You need anything, you know what I mean? Like, and he didn't have to do that.
Absolutely.
He did not know me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he seen me there. I guess maybe I looked out of place because I'm a little older. But I got a prize because I love you.
Yes. Let's go.
And I hit it. And we had it. So this is for you. No online prize today, y'all. We got somebody right here that deserves the prize.
Absolutely.
He's a little wild, so we're going to
Mhm.
feed his wild side with this right here.
Just a little while.
So this is, that's right. This is the Sasquatch Valentine Creek, because I love it. And there's some things in here that you might like. So there you go.
I see some Jack Links in here.
Open it up. Just
Oh,
put
all right.
things in there. Try it out. Get the bag so you can carry it on. Get the big one. I think it slides out because I know you cook and it doubles as a cutting board.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was funny. This is cracked pepper and sea salt corn.
Popcorn.
What popcorn? And beef jerky, teriyaki, and original teriyaki. And we had a mug. That's cool.
Some
Jack-
there you
big
go.
That's nice.
Kool-Aid and water only.
Kool-Aid and water.
Kool-Aid water mug.
I know that's right, with a little sugar down at the bottom.
That's for you.
That's
So,
what I think about.
and that doubles as like your cutting board.
Oh, wow, yeah. It's going down tonight. I'm in that kitchen tonight.
I know that's right.
Yes, I'm getting hungry anyway.
Yeah, so that's how we do. This is a giving podcast, you know what I mean? We give gifts and appreciation to people that appreciate us, you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it's a brand. It's a brand building. You got a brand, you know what I mean? Mel's in his music. Build his brand, and now his brand is podcasting as well.
Yes, it is.
So he came here to help. Let's see if he can help, and
We
he
don't.
helped.
Yeah,
It's on and popping.
It's on
Lord.
and popping, that's
Man.
right.
6 more days, February 28th, man. Surviving Philly is over. Then March 5th is the last
So we can still
audition.
vote.
So 28th, yeah.
We can vote until the 20th. SurvivingPhillyTV.com. Hit vote. Scroll down. Mill 6308.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
So Surviving Philly is a reality show, a hip hop reality show, right?
Yeah.
That they come up with in Philly for artists, actors, and actresses, and everything. And it's gonna, I guess it's gonna talk about the Philadelphia life.
Yeah, just making music, and they're gonna have tasks for us, like like the making a band, something like that, making a band and stuff like that. So it's like on borderlines, like that's putting that
Guidance House
together.
Production.
Guy's house, everybody, DJ Seven and everybody that's putting that together.
Everybody's
Man.
in there. A lot of
Yeah.
people in Philly.
Okay.
And I want to give a shout out to
Together.
Sister Selena, Sakina, and
Talia?
No, not
Oh.
Sister Talia.
Kalan.
Kaline, her, and Street Bars, man. I see they up for the run
Mm.
just as well, man. Thank you. Welcome.
Sister!
welcome.
I haven't talked to you and seen you in a while, but
Yeah.
if you get to see this podcast, Sister Kalani, that girl,
Her,
I love
sharp.
her
I was on her
music.
live
I
yesterday.
love her
yeah.
music.
Yeah,
I
she
love
good, yeah.
her music. She raps. She's a,
Yeah, man.
Y'all about to say they got
I
any
said
questions or
Rosalina.
anything like that before we wrap it up?
Let's see.
I'm about to
Any
say,
questions?
Mills, you be going live all
Anybody
the
have
time. Do
any
you
questions?
even look for questions
give
on
us a
yours?
call. WCMD.
Right.
Give us a call.
Give us a call or
Uh,
something.
96856-964
Any questions?
WCMD.
Bobby. No question. Oh, another thing.
Going
Tomorrow.
across the screen is how you can get on the website, www.mqconsulting.info/. Just go to the website and register for the seminar. You
Yep.
must be registered
Saturday
10
at 5
to
o'clock.
10, right?
You don't have to really be registered at 10. I was just trying to have a registration so I can know how much food and
Literature.
snacks and how many of the printing of the case study and stuff I have. Just more so it gives me a more comfort outlook on my
Well,
seminar.
if you can fall in, and we
Right.
do what we can.
Right.
Support.
If you
Please
come in, come on.
Please
That's
come.
right. Come in.
There's a chair there for you. If you feel like you need to, is a seat for you at this table, come get your seat.
Right.
That's right. So that's
It's a no
Kramer
invite.
Hill.
Don't worry about the invite. If you feel like there's a seat at that table for you and you want to learn and you want to educate yourself for your family, for your environment, your community, the children you see around you, then come on. Because
Not
it
even
takes
that.
a
It
village.
might be just one person.
Mm-hmm.
One person, and you've been itching to help.
Mm.
One person that you know needs help that might see you there and say, "What's Janet doing there?" That's why we're here talking about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Cause Janet got trauma. That's why Janet is there. Be there.
And also use your resources, people. Use it. It's a lot of free resources right now. I take the educational system, like Saving Grace Ministries. They take the actual trauma, like she's a trauma facilitator. She takes on head on the trauma children. Even Pamela here at I Dare to Care. She takes in children and families as well that have been impacted by trauma. It's free services out here. Which is resources. Use your resources.
You have to go to websites. You have to Google.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to know. All you have to do is trauma care near me. And she's gonna pop up.
Right. I did list on my Facebook pediatric trauma informed therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I will update that on my website now that my website is up and running. I will put because I still want to have it on there, even though I don't treat or diagnose, but I can refer. So I want to be able to have that on there. Do you or not? Yes. I can always email it to you if you want it. Right. Inbox me or something like that. Call the phone number 856-202-7660. The website has a contact info station. What is it? A little station or a little thing. So fill out the little the name and stuff, the application, and whatever it asks for a comment or a request or something. Just go ahead and shoot your shot, and I'll send you what you need if I have it available. I have dedicated a lot of time to reaching out to people, resource needs. I just met somebody yesterday that does just sexual violence. Just all the way around sexual violence. Like, so he's like, listen, if you come across anybody that has any sexual violence, let me know because we can help them. If you need to have your child be basically deeper than just trauma, they having like what is it, like the personality things that they have to do, like a behavior, and or sometimes they trauma is so out of control that they cannot be reformed. Then you need a behavior analyst to come in and behavior analyst the child, because maybe it's not only trauma. Maybe they're autistic. Maybe they have ADHD. Maybe they have something else attached to it that the psychiatrist might have missed.
Right. Yeah, just because a doctor told you that your child has such and such, you need to check out different avenues and stuff like that to be sure, because it's a lot of doctors out here that just throw a diagnosis out real quick.
Right.
Let me ask you another question. Is all this stuff confidential?
Yeah, so what I do is confidential.
Okay.
I've helped out physicians, family members.
So doctors and stuff, they do not report to you and things like that. Like, say, if I bring my child and you say, okay, your child will probably need to see somebody or whatever, you help me out, you give me all the resources and stuff, and I just go ahead unless I need you again for something else.
Right.
Nobody reports back to you from...
No.
Okay.
Nobody reports back to me. Of course, there's always HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
Like, I even use HIPAA laws myself, like, just knowing, because I'm a nurse on top of everything else. Right. I mean, I don't want to let HIPAA laws. I don't want to let nobody's information go. I know what I'm doing.
It's important.
I don't really know. Like, I just know that the child could be experiencing mental impairment because of what they saying of the behavior issues.
Right.
I don't know what behavior issues. I don't know how bad it is. I just know that the child is exhibiting these behaviors, so they have to more than likely have a mental impairment. What that could be, I don't know. They might have PTSD. They might have ADHD.
Right.
So my whole thing is I'm basically putting a request for the child study team to evaluate them. I'm not even evaluating them. I'm putting a request. I'm just creating a legal document because a lot of the parents don't know that this is a law. A lot of parents don't even know that they have to send in a request for their child to have help or have assistance. They don't know that.
Right.
So I
this
come
is
in and I
so-
write exactly what it needs to be done.
So this is so the school does not push your child aside.
Right.
Right.
And give the
Right.
once if it's written, then it happened, right? Because anything you write, I literally can write a L right now. If I was to leave here and I committed a crime, and they said, well, where was the last place she was at? And they come in here and they see that letter L on that paper, they taking a picture of that because that is something that they can legally use.
Right. Documented.
It's documented. What the L? Now they might think, what the L meant? Oh, that's a clue, something like that.
Right.
It's a legal document. So I'm just creating a document that could be used legally, requesting that the child be evaluated by the child study team. In the child study team, there's going to be a child psychologist there. If there is not a child psychologist there, and especially if you putting it for under mental impairment, then I'm not even putting in a mental impairment in there. I'm saying that we are requesting for the child study team to evaluate the child under
Right.
behaviors.
Right, under behavior.
The child psychologist should be able to say, okay, this child behavior exemplify a mental impairment. This child is going to be put into having the IEP and the 504 plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put this in place. Maybe they might be struggling in reading and writing or something like that. We're going to put in the extra people in here to help them with that. And then we're going to create a 504 plan. This is a safety plan for the child and the inner school. They should be all doing it. If they're not doing that and you're not, with the services that they provide, if you're not happy with them services, you can still put in a grievance letter against the school with the child study team. The child study team didn't evaluate my child correctly because they didn't put these needs in place.
That's good to know. Word.
Right. It's a law. So that's where I'm going to still be following up with the client. What happened when you went to the child study team? Did they give you a prize booklet? A prize booklet in there should state, like, if you're not satisfied with what's going on, you can file the grievance letter. How to file the grievance letter? Attorney, a civil rights attorney, because it's a civil right that was taken away from you from the law. If the attorney should be already in there, who to contact. They don't like giving that out because that has a lot of information in it. I do have the prize booklet. If the client, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print it out as I know I'm getting a client for the consultation. Here goes something that you should have ahead of time before you even go to this child study team. So like that, you can go start basically asking questions when you get in there. Or if you're not satisfied, then you know where to go at. Because the book still, and I'll highlight I'll highlight it. But it's good to know for yourself too, educate yourself too,
Right, they can't tell you different when the book says this.
Right. So then, like, there's New Jersey Parent Caucus. You go to them, they step into, that's an organization, they step in and they have civil attorneys as well. They actually connected straight to the civil courts. So you can go around all that, go straight to New Jersey Parent Caucus. They put in what they got to put in and they send it straight up to the civil courts. And there you go.
There you go, man.
So
she's taking care of these kids out
Yeah.
of these families.
Yeah.
It's up to us to make the steps to bring it forth. If you need help, please, just raise your hand. You don't have to open your mouth.
And yes, your child
Raise your
can
hand.
thrive without education. But what your child cannot thrive with is a mental impairment.
So-
That's my whole goal. Because people be like, oh, kids can, I made it without going to school. I dropped out and I'm still doing good. I got me a business making me $100,000, but yet you are a narcissist. Yet you're bipolar. Yet you have PTSD. Yet you underdressed or you misdiagnosed. Yet you still all that.
And it's not that we can't live or survive in these conditions, but it's a pain in the ass.
So let me tell you something. To all the people that's judgmental or judging other people, let's get educated in knowledge before
Right.
you judge, so we can be aware
Stop judging.
of the movements and the thoughts of other people, so you can be able to help instead of hurting and hindering, the process of them living a better life.
Yeah, you gotta
So,
learn. And if
well,
you don't
wait.
speak up,
Yeah,
if you don't
this
speak
Saturday,
up,
yeah.
people don't know.
5 to 7. Check it out. Don't judge. Get educated.
Mm-hmm. Education will take you way further. If everybody in the whole world is bystanders. You a bystander. At any point in time, you can become a victim.
Right.
So educate yourself so you can be a good bystander. Get them to help before it becomes you being a victim. Let's put it like
There
that.
you go, man. Sounds great.
Well, unfortunately, our other guest, wasn't able to make it, but we're gonna take you out with a video from them.
Okay.
He had some unfortunate
Big Boys
Appointment.
Entertainment.
Big
Right.
Boys Entertainment,
Let's go,
unfortunate
baby.
appointment that he
Thank
had
you.
to take care
That
of.
was awesome.
So I have a video, and we're gonna play this video for y'all as we get ready to leave out of here. This is a
sure help.
Yeah.
This is not an official video. This is a video that I filmed when I was traveling with them.
Okay.
So I filmed them. I'm not all that great, so but I like it.
Mhm.
Right.
Come on, man, T.Y. Come on, man, Duval. Come on, man, Red Bull. Come on, man, Mickey Lynch, Jay Notes, Big Man CEO. We about to start this. We really gonna turn it to you. Turn that shit up. Turn it up. New York, what up? We in here. New York, Philly. Already know how to do this shit.
Big boys.
Everybody scream, big boy. Big dangerous. They don't want to smoke with you. That's the language. Niggas say we backing out. Backing out. They don't want to smoke because I'm backing out. Backing out. You better really back it out. Niggas want to have a show. We gon' take a cloud. We don't got to mix or second out. Niggas say they ride, then they back it out. Other niggas ride, so they back it out. So tell niggas ain't great. Niggas sold us some straight shit. Niggas saying they kill it, they don't play shit. I got you about to kick and shake up there and play, bitch. Kick it like it's kid play. They don't want to fuck away. I don't need no lessons, I got Mary J. I got my business, that shit kick it like kid play. Like it's kid play. Y'all be good. They don't want to fucking come bang shit. Bang shit, power. It's that shit dangerous. They ain't no shit, don't scream out. Don't scream out. I heard the game best never changing. We were lame to a lame. Niggas dangerous, we just bang shit like Bob James. Exciting to a man, you know. They like shit to play. They don't want to fucking play. I don't need no lessons, I got. Every time I'm busy, get this shit like I can't play. I don't know. I can do that gang shit. They don't want to fuck together. I'm lead up the gas and that shit dangerous. They don't want to be our language. Don't speak our language. Kick it like it's kid play. Shout out to you, though. Get in. I think I'm great, God. Hey, I got a blessing, I got it coming in.